This video contains spoilers for the entirety of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. You've been warned. There exist two worlds within every person's life. In the first world, you have a normal life. You're either a student struggling with your studies, SATs, and student loans, or you have a full-time job and an intolerable boss who you have to bootlick every day if you want to keep your job and pay the bills. Oh, and don't forget the bills! Nowadays, it's almost impossible to buy anything and pay the full amount. But don't worry, you can pay in installments, only it's more expensive. It just means that every month, half of your paycheck is spent on bills. Your biggest dream is to buy a house, right? Well, at least it will remain your dream forever. Remember the golden rule: everything is expensive. And will get more expensive and will never get any cheaper, because our big daddy oligarch overlords want to have 10 yachts instead of 9. Some others are married and are facing marital problems. Some others can't find a good partner to save their lives. Oh, and there's a gender war going on. Apparently all of us men are pigs and rapists, and all women are whores and gold diggers. The trust between men and women is gone. People are getting married after they reach 30 or even 40. Next generation of babies will see their parents reach 60 or 70 while they themselves are probably 20. The age gap between the old and the young will be so large, and the number of young people will decrease so much that we will face a population crisis. In the subject of politics, do I even have to say anything? We are more divided than ever. It seems that there's nothing we could collectively agree on. For every argument, there always has to be a counter-argument, right? And on top of all of that, we almost faced World War III a few months ago, and we are on the brink of starting it again. What a time to be alive. But even after realizing how fucked our situation is, even after realizing that there's nothing you can do to change anything, you open up your cell phone and see some putrid and rotten rich boys and girls on social media who keep bragging about their lifestyles and keep telling you that you can be rich if you try hard enough, even though the only reason they exist is that their rich dads didn't use a condom. All they have to offer is their stupid daily life dramas, and you know what? We eat that shit up. We keep following them and giving them the attention they want. Maybe it's because we envy them and want to be like them. Or we simply want to write hate comments for them. At the end of the day, they get what they want, while we get nothing. And on top of all of that, there's your family. Some of us have good or bad families, but that doesn't matter. We have to be ready for the unfortunate day when we lose one of our loved ones. War, economy, politics pale in comparison to losing a loved one. Losing a wife, husband, mother, father, daughter, or a son. What will you do if you lose a loved one forever? You, the average Jane or Joe, have to deal with these problems in your life. You, the average Jane or Joe, will go crazy if the second world within you didn't exist. That world is the world of escape. Let's talk about escapism for a bit. I remember a few years ago when I worked for a company in the field of digital marketing, I wrote an article about escapism. You can take a look at it if you speak Farsi. I recently read it myself to see how my style of writing and opinions have changed. They simply have not changed at all. I still believe that escapism is an essential part of the human condition, since one of our initial instinctual survival responses since the dawn of time has been to escape. It is natural to want to run away completely and lock yourself in a small room where the horrors of the world can't possibly reach you. Some people prefer to escape into unorthodox acts of recreation like parties, drugs, alcohol, sex, etc. Some people drown themselves into the world of 6-second dopamine injections. Others prefer art, music, painting, poetry, movies. Now, I am not one to judge, but among these methods of escapism, the most culturally acceptable and arguably best form of escapism is art. Why would you accept the cruel realities of our world when you can simply create another world in your mind and live there? It is indeed far more enjoyable to pay rent in Sims than to pay rent in real life. Seriously, why do people play Sims? But what if you escape so far away from your real life that the real world is ruined? What if all the time you could have spent fixing your life was spent running away from problems? What if the perfect world you created in order to feel safe begged you to leave? Let's talk about the story of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The story takes place in the city of Lumiere, which is cut off from the rest of the continent. Beyond the shores, there is a big monolith with a number written on it, and a giant woman called the Paintress sitting close to it. The number currently rests at 34, but at the end of the prologue it goes down to 33. It's a countdown, and every year it goes down by one digit. When it does, people who are at that age experience something called the gommage, which means to be erased or to erase, and in this case they actually just die. Every year a group of people, usually the ones who have 1 year left to live, go on an expedition to the continent to face the Paintress and end this cycle of death. You play as Gustav, a 30-year-old expeditioner who just witnessed the love of his life fade into nothingness in front of his eyes. You, Maelle, your adopted sister, Lune, Ciel, Lucien, are sure that this expedition is the one where you finally reach the Paintress and stop her once and for all, until you reach the shore and witness the brutal massacre of most of the expedition by an old man and a bunch of monsters. After regrouping with the survivors of the attack, Gustav and team decide to push on throughout the continent and face the Paintress. They meet Gestrals, kill Nevrons, and meet Esquier. There might just be a chance that they succeed until... Gustav is murdered by the mysterious white-haired man. This scene hit me like a truck the first time I played it, man. Another mysterious guy comes to our rescue, his name, Verso. The expedition is mourning another loss. This is obviously more difficult for Maelle because to her, Gustav wasn't just a friend, he was family. They move on and bury the only thing that remains of Gustav, his metal arm. In the second act, which is titled Verso, we get to know him more. Apparently he was part of the first expedition, Expedition 0. And he's basically immortal. At one point in the game, he literally cuts himself in half and endures excruciating pain just to cheer Maelle and others up. Verso leads the expedition into Old Lumiere, where they intend to destroy the heart of the Paintress, but they are faced with the white-haired man again, who's revealed to be the father of Verso, Renoir. They fail to achieve their goal and retreat. Lune and others are angry at Verso for not telling them the truth, and he simply says that he cut ties with his family decades ago. Even though he genuinely wants to defeat the Paintress, he's not telling the whole truth, and lying by omission is still lying. Their next goal is to defeat the Axons, two giant and powerful Nevrons with enough chroma to pierce the barrier surrounding the monolith. They are called Sirene, she who plays with wonder, and Visages, he who guards truth with lies. Wish I could talk about them more, but this video is not about them. So after the expedition defeats them, they collect their chroma and together create a sword powerful enough to pierce the barrier. They go ahead and finally do that and face the Paintress, but she can't seem to get hurt by whatever attacks they throw at her. Afterwards, they are thrown in a memory world, which is a culmination of all the worlds they traveled throughout the game. There, they witness several visions in the form of a family throughout their lives. These are all the Paintress's memories: her painting, her teaching her children to paint, her falling out with her husband, her mourning the loss of a loved one who we don't know yet, and arguing with her daughter Alicia because she blames her for their loss, and her encouraging her son to play the piano. At the end of the level, we meet Renoir again for a final showdown, and the music. After a hard battle, Renoir is finally destroyed by Maelle with the help of the Curator, the mysterious character who's been accompanying the expedition since the beginning of the game. Now we can finally face the Paintress and end her tyranny once and for all. After finishing the first phase of the fight, she literally tears reality in half to show us that there's levels to this. Then something interesting happens. The Paintress ceases to attack. She just simply puts protective spells on us and heals us? What? What is happening? There's definitely a bigger and more meaningful connection between the Paintress and Verso and Maelle, but for now we have to celebrate. The expedition has succeeded in defeating the Paintress. Let's raise the flag of the 33rd and go back to Lumiere to be celebrated as heroes. Yes, we won! But hold on, we're in the second act of the game. This can't be the end. We are thrown into a vision of the past, year 49 of the monolith, 16 years ago. Here we finally get the answers we needed. The story of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 revolves around the Dessendre, Aline, the mother, Renoir the father, Verso, Clea, and Alicia the children. The Dessendre are part of the Painting Council with Aline at the head. These people have the extraordinary power to build an entire world upon a canvas, a world which is only bound by the painter's imagination. The world where the game took place and all the people and creatures like Lune, Ciel, Monaco, and Esquier are inside one of these canvases, specifically a canvas Verso painted on when he was a child. The thing with painted worlds is that the painter will always leave a part of their soul inside, and the more they stay inside, the more their bodies in the real world will deteriorate. The tragic event of the Dessendre family is the death of Verso in a fire. In his final moments, Verso saved Alicia from the fire, but she did not survive in one piece. She lost her eye, half of her face, and her voice. After Verso's death, Aline, her mother, could not bear the grief of losing her beloved son, and could not stand to look at Alicia, whom she blamed for his death. Therefore, she plunged herself into the canvas Verso painted on when he was a child, to be with the person she loved the most in her entire life. She built Lumiere and its people and painted another version of her family. So the Verso we met before was only the painted version of him, and so was Renoir and Alicia, who still had the same face as their real-life counterpart. Maybe Aline wanted to punish Alicia for causing Verso's demise. The reason painted Renoir was our primary antagonist was that he wanted to protect his painted family, because without the Paintress, someone will erase the whole painting. Who is that someone, you ask? The real Renoir, who's entered the painting sometime after Aline did to force her out. The family is grieving, but Aline is destroying herself inside the canvas. Renoir wants to force her out so that the family can grieve in peace, without tearing itself apart. He will destroy the whole painting and the last shred of Verso's soul inside, if he has to, in order to save his family, and he plans to do exactly that. He was the person behind the gommage. Aline, the paintress, only wanted to save people of Lumiere, so she wrote the countdown on the monolith to warn the people about their demise. At least this way, they could savor every second of their existence. Each year, when Aline's power faded little by little, Renoir took the lives of the oldest creations of the canvas, hence the gommage. The Nevrons in the world were made by Clea to speed up the process of destroying the canvas. So what is Alicia's role in all of this? Clea tells her to enter the canvas in order to help Renoir and bring Aline back to the real world. But upon entering the canvas, Alicia decides to be hidden from Aline, but Aline's chroma washes over her and she forgets everything and is reborn in Lumiere as a normal kid called Maelle, hence the connection Maelle had with the curator and painted Alicia. After everyone in Lumiere gommaged and Maelle regained her memories, she is reunited with Verso and they decide to go and meet the real Renoir, who disguised himself as the curator. Now that Aline is out of the canvas, Renoir aims to destroy it along with the last piece of Verso's soul. Even though he wants to do this for the sole purpose of saving his family, Maelle can't let go of the life she had here, the friends and family she had. And Verso, she realizes that she can also paint. She repaints Verso and brings back Ciel and Lune. They plan to gather enough chroma from the corpses of expeditioners who were killed by Nevrons and whose chroma wasn't recycled in order to face off against Renoir to save the world. This is the beginning of Act 3. There is only one objective and one quest in Act 3. Go back to Lumiere and stop Renoir from erasing the canvas. But SK can now fly and there are so many other things to do in the world before doing the final mission. Since we know that Renoir will not erase the canvas before Maelle leaves it, we are free to do a little exploring. And I have to say this part of the game is the most fun part gameplay wise. We get so many useful pictos from bosses scattered around the map that I couldn't not play the game more. And the combat felt more fun than ever now that I learned how to utilize the combat mechanics of the game and specific characters. I haven't even been to the area with Claire or Simon, the final super duper difficult and optional boss of the game. It's almost as if I can't let go of the game. But after fooling around in the open world, I finally decided to face Renoir. Here's the thing about Renoir. He might be one of the most sympathetic antagonists in gaming ever. He literally just wants to save his family. Aline is in really bad condition after she left the painting, so Renoir will not let Alicia or Maelle suffer the same fate. Even Verso, who agrees to fight Renoir, is having second thoughts when she sees Aline. Sure, she is not her mother and he is not actually Verso, but he was made in the image of Verso, an unbelievably kind and empathetic man who is willing to sacrifice himself to save his family. At at the end, Maelle promises not to end up like Aline and come back to the real world sometime in the future. Renoir doesn't believe her, but lets her go. Verso jumps into a portal and finds the final sliver of Verso's soul, still painting after all these years. He so desperately wants him to stop. He's tired of living a fake life, under the shadow of the real Verso who died many years ago. He's tired of losing so many people he cared about. He still remembers Julie from the first expedition whom he loved. He cannot bear to see the Dessendre suffering anymore. He's tired. This is not the life he wanted. This make-believe fantasy of the people who could not grieve and move on. He wants it all to end. Maelle, on the other hand, wants with her whole heart to have his family and friends in Lumiere back from the dead. He wants a second chance with a brother whom she lost in an accident which was indirectly her fault. Even though painted Verso is not the real Verso, she does not care. She can't bear to lose him again. And in the real world, she doesn't have an eye, a normal face, and a voice. There's nothing there for her but pain. And here is the most difficult choice I've ever had to make in a video game. To side with Verso, let the painting and everything in it die, and have the Dessendres move on from their loss. Or restore Lumiere and all its people, but let Verso suffer an existence he despises and have Maelle turn out like Aline, dying away little by little the more she stays in the canvas. Jesus fucking Christ. This was a difficult decision to make, but as much as I adored the people of Lumiere, Esquier, Monaco, Noco, Gestrolles, and Grandis, all the beautiful and surreal places in the canvas, I could not bear to see Verso suffer and have Maelle killed. I chose to side with Verso and erase the painting and let the last piece of Verso's soul die. This scene by Maelle broke me. I had never cried more than I did when I heard Maelle say,
"Don't do this. Don't leave me again.
"It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, huh?" And then Verso moves towards... Oh god, this is difficult. And then Verso moves towards his childhood friends Esquier and Monaco and bids them farewell. Oh god. Ciel accepts her fate with grace, and Lune remains defiant to her last dying breath. And at the end, Verso and his soul fade to oblivion. In the real world, we see the Dessendres grieving at Verso's grave, hopefully for the last time, trying their best to move on. Aline and Renoir embrace each other and let bygones be bygones. Clea is trying to keep a level head because someone has to, but she's definitely burning inside. And Maelle finds solace in the friends and family she found, while she lost herself in a world where she wasn't alone. But now, they're gone. But it's okay, right? Maybe now she can... If you remember correctly, we talked about escapism at the beginning of the video. While not exactly for the same reason, a lot of us escape from our awful lives into fantastical worlds of our own. And if you are watching this video, there's a high chance that your preferred method of escapism is video games, because I know that is definitely mine. And this game, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, was a special one for me, for 3 reasons. First one, this is an unbelievably awesome video game. Second one, it was a good bit of escapism a few months ago during the war. A little context if you don't know, I'm from Iran. There was a war between Iran and Israel a few months ago. Lots of missiles being shot around, lots of scary noises and existential horrors. But playing the game when I heard bombs and missiles was a special kind of escapism. Third reason is that this game taught me that no matter how fucked up the situation is in your life, no matter how much comfortable respite escapism provides, you have to come back to the real world at some time and face the music. Choosing Verso was about accepting that some things are meant to end, even if they were once everything to you. Especially then. I don't regret the worlds I escaped into. I needed them, but I don't want to disappear inside them forever. And if this game taught me anything, it's that loving something deeply sometimes means knowing when to let it go. I will love my nerdy hobbies for the rest of my life, but if need be, I am willing to come back to the real world and live a little. And I will never forget the amazing worlds I traveled into. When it's time, I'm willing to return. Thank you so much Sandfall Interactive for making this video game. And farewell, SKA, Monaco, and Verso. You will always be happy and alive in my heart.